Okay, so a lot of disingenuous behavior this weekend, a lot of lying, just to be blunt about it, and a lot of rape talk, a lot coming from the right wing. Rape talk, like endless, endless. Even if it's, your life story that is, the rape portion, you will then throw that experience back in the face of a Sunday talk show host, okay, who has the audacity to ask you, how do you explain supporting and endorsing a guy who was found guilty by two separate juries of rape and defaming the victim on top of it, which is what makes it so hard for people to come forward and say they were raped. And she said, how dare you shame me? What? Okay. So that's just, an emotional lie that is just, some sort of a reaction to getting caught, I guess. But what is gaslighting, or what is manipulation, or what is telling the same lie over and over again enough times to get people to doubt what they already know? The propaganda portion of what Donald Trump is guilty of doing to 30% of America. So, what this is the utter Orwellian behavior of taking something that you have absolute evidence to prove, something that you saw, something that was photographed, something that was documented as being the way it was on that day, in this hour, at that place, and telling you often enough and over, okay, that didn't happen. That did not happen in that place. That didn't happen on that day. Now, you can say that's what's been going on around January 6th, or to make it even easier for those who have cognitive dissonance in their heads about being shown that this is a real thing that's going on against them because they support this freak. They support this man who is gaslighting them. Remember the inaugural. This is an easy one. So there was photographic evidence of the inaugural, the attendance at the inaugural. There was a date and time and a place associated with the photograph of the inaugural. And yet Sean Spicer, in a really ill-fitting suit, got out at the press podium at the White House during his very first press briefing and showed you what gaslighting is, and that this was the way it was going to be from here on out in the Trump administration. He said that that was a record-setting crowd, that nobody had ever had that many people show up before, that Donald Trump was, heralded as the most successful president, and his inaugural was bigger and badder and better and well-attended than anybody else's, when the photographic evidence clearly showed that Barack Obama's inaugural was better attended. Who cares? I don't care. You shouldn't care. Donald Trump cared. And so the gaslighting began. And it's real easy to explain what gaslighting is when you remember that. And it's real easy to remember what gaslighting is when you talk about January 6th, because the people who are infected with Donald Trump's Stockholm syndrome, which is what narcissists infect others around them with, so that they fall in love with their captors. They fall in love with the people that are harming them. They fall in love with the people who are lying to them. They fall in love with the people who are preventing them from being free and fair and open and honest. They fall in love with their captor, right? So they said, oh, January 6th, it was tourists standing between the stanchions. No one was armed. It wasn't a riot. It didn't get violent. Nobody, attacked. They didn't go hunting for Nancy Pelosi. There wasn't a noose. They weren't trying to hurt Mike Pence. Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. These are lies, but it's gaslighting. Now, gaslighting is a manipulative style of propaganda. It has an actual meaning. It is actually dangerous. It's actually successful with people who can be made to disbelieve their own eyes, who can be made to disbelieve their own memories, who can be made to question their own recollection of events. It works real well with them, okay? It is a systematic feed of false information with the desire to make you question what you know is true. So now I introduce to you Stephen Miller. This propaganda, this little piece of tape here, okay, this happened over the weekend on Fox News. It was on Mark Levin's show. There, I said it! Who's completely in the tank now. I mean, he was gone before, but... And he hosted Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller is going to give you this information that is the exact opposite of what is true, the exact 180 of what you know, the exact opposite of what you know, what you remember, what you've seen with your own eyes and ears about the right wing, about who they are and what they want, about all the people who continue to vote against their own best interest because obviously we have an economy that's doing better for the median and below, for the middle and below. Obviously, we have an economy where things have straightened out in a soft landing. There's still more to do, but it's definitely headed in the right direction. And this is Stephen Miller's rant on the TV this weekend. It's a 180 from the actual truth.
It is surely one of the great psychological phenomenons, the extent to which this suicidal ideology is embraced by millions of American voters, an ideology that says that criminals will be released to continue to reoffend, an ideology that says young children will be fed lies about biology and transitioned to the opposite sex, an ideology that says we will allow criminal migrants free entry to the country, and if they murder innocent young women, then so be it. How could millions of people subscribe to such an ideology? I mean, they've been programmed, Mark. They've been conditioned through years of legacy media, through years of big tech influence, through years of manipulated search results on our major search engines, to be fed information, to subscribe to a paradigm that the right, that the Republican Party, that the non-left are threats to democracy, that they're insurrectionists, that they're threats to human rights and universal values, and so that the left is the champion, the vanguard of these foundational principles. All of it lies. All of it completely the inversion of the truth. But when you have billions of dollars, the most powerful government agencies, the most powerful technology platforms, the most powerful news outlets pushing the same message for years, Mark, people have been indoctrinated, and now they're importing new voters to keep them in power permanently.
Okay, this is all insane, okay? Nobody's importing anybody. Illegal people who are here illegally cannot vote. Only American citizens can vote, as you know. There was an insurrection. It was to stop Congress from certifying the results of a free and fair election. And if anybody would ask you to commit suicide, if anybody would ask you to off yourself in service to them, it would not be Joe Biden, okay? It just would not be. Nobody is taking children and transitioning them. That does not happen, okay? This is all insanity. This is what gaslighting looks like, sounds like, feels like. You know better than that, but still you're willing to give credit to what he's saying as could be possible, could be happening. It's real. No, I'm there. I'm against it now. Really? Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.